Bios does not like it when you talk about this. Welcome back to Creatures of Sonaria's most controversial commentary channel. I'm Frown, and today my voice is a little raspy and dead, so please excuse me if you can't understand me. Moving on, why are we talking about Harp Bios? Because it's an entirely different game. Well, because their announcement includes Creatures of Sonaria, and they made a bit ago, they made a very professional announcement about being compared with Creatures of Sonaria. And it's a very interesting announcement to me, even though it has some grammatical errors. But yeah, moving on again. This is how the entire paragraph goes. I'm gonna read through it, and I'm also gonna put my inputs and my opinions in between. So don't get confused with me reading the announcement and me giving my opinions. Okay? Okay. So the announcement starts with, "Hey guys, so I wanted to say thank you and welcome to all who have joined recently. But I felt it's necessary to address the circumstances in which we're getting traction. So before we start, obviously Hop Isles has a very noticeable comparison with Creatures of Snaria, and that's how we've all seen it since the start. Let's not lie to each other. It's a very obvious trait that we all have once compared the Hop Isles with Creatures of Snaria. It's so obvious that, they're very similar to each other, and there are many people who are quitting Creatures of Snaria and waiting for Harp Isles. Even in my comments, they're like, when Harp Isles come out, I'm gonna leave Creatures of Snaria. There's always been a indirect connection between Creatures of Snaria and Harp Isles. Because many people that feels wronged by Creatures of Snaria feels like Harp Isles would be an upgrade. While, there are some that are just genuinely curious what Harp Isles can provide, many just see it as Creatures of Sonaria's replacement. So this traction is not recent, it's very old, since the start of production actually. If you haven't noticed, we have recently had videos showcasing our games, which we do appreciate, but unfortunately they have very clickbaity titles that imply a rivalry between us and a well-established game, which is Creatures of Sonaria. Some even going as far as even flat out comparing features with both games, plus talking down features of one to uplift the other. So about this, right? I have a problem with content creators doing this, because I find it cringe that some of these content creators actually comes from Creatures of Sonaria, and they're now like praising Harp House. And I'm not talking about like you can't do that because you make COS content. Obviously you can, and I've done it before. Obviously, yeah, you can praise another game while also making Creatures of Sonaria content. But like you based off your entire career on Creatures of Sonaria through your YouTube channel or whatever. You based off your entire content through Creatures of Sonaria. You're leeching off their content and you're making this like this your entire thing, and you're making revenue out of this using Creatures of Sonaria content. At least, don't just hop onto another wagon when you see another game that other people are liking. That's toe sucking. Don't do that. That's weird. Like, if you want to appreciate it, obviously appreciate it. As content creators who made Creature Scenario content, don't be dicks to the people who's giving you free money, basically. You know? Like, you can talk about Outbios, but to compare and to say, oh, Creature Scenario doesn't have this, or oh, Outbios is better than this in Creature Scenario, is completely unfair. Because we don't even know how Outbios is gonna be. Everything that glitters is not gold. Sure, the showcase is pretty cool, but then at the same time, how well established is it? Because we saw Creature Scenario showcases as well. They're very cool, but when we play it, the mechanics are fucked, the stats are fucked. It's so weird. So, don't just compare it outright when you have an experience with one game and you don't with another. Plus, show some gratitude to Creature Scenario. And I'm not saying this because I'm bootlicking anyone. You know me, I hate Creature Scenario on a some sort of level, and I also love Creature Scenario in a genuine level. I down talk to them, I insult their creature design, I insult their management, I insult their moderation team, I basically insult everything Creatures Scenario related. But I also praise them when they deserve to be praised. I compliment them, I show gratitude and appreciation to them when I feel like they deserve to be. Why do I do that? Because again, I love Creatures Scenario. I don't hate it. I don't want to compare it. I do compare it when I have to, but I don't want to compare it constantly because it's not fair, and I don't want to jump into another wagon just because Harp Isles looks better. I'm not gonna say, oh, Creatures Scenario doesn't have this and that. Like, it undermines the work that the COS staff team does as well. Sure, they might be a little bit, cuckoo in the head, but like at the very least, they put effort, and we can see that effort, and you kind of have to appreciate it. This is coming from a person who hates creature scenario and has like um called out to creature scenario. And again, I only do these call outs and down talking because I genuinely love and hate creatures scenario. It's a love hate relationship. It's complicated, but basically, don't be a dick when you're based off your entire content on creature scenario and suddenly jump wagons because you see another game that everyone is bootlicking about. Okay, stick to it. Be loyal. Dedicate. Don't compare like a jackass. You can appreciate both games and you can hate both games. Just don't compare like that. Moving on. I need to start off with saying how absolutely uncomfortable we are with people pitting creatures scenario and Harp against one another. This isn't something new, obviously, but it has gotten to the point where it's becoming ridiculous and just frankly really sad for both parties. It really disregards any work that us as a team do and just isn't necessary whatsoever. Okay, so again, of course, I can completely see why it would make them very uncomfortable because Creatures Navia or Twin Atlas is a very well established company compared to Harp Isles, which is very minor and it's very tiny. It's literally still in production. It's non existent basically. And you have this massive behemoth of a titan, a company that has multiple games, and one of the most popular is Creatures of Sonaria. This titan of a game, if they wanted to wipe out Harp Isles like they once have with Malgamation Islands, if they want to play dirty like that, they could easily sweep Harp Isles under the rug and just take the creatures or whatever, right? We don't know how much connections, how much rootlessness, and how scummy creatures now we can get. We've seen them in the past, but hopefully they have changed, and hopefully more eyes mean more responsibility. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but if they do want to play dirty, we don't know how bad it can get behind the screens of development. So obviously they would be terrified or uncomfortable, or maybe they're just genuinely uncomfortable because they don't want their passion compared with another passion. Maybe that's the case, who knows. But whichever the case is, I can see why they're uncomfortable. It's completely fair. And yes, it does disregard the work that Harpiles do, and they disregard the work that COS staff team do. The COS staff team, they do their work. Okay, sure they're scummy a little bit here and there, but they do their work, and we can play it. It's playable. Okay, they put effort in it at least. And Harpiles, they're not doing this out of revenge or malice or whatever. They're doing this as a passion project. That's why it's taking forever to actually come out. It's their passion project, and they're trying to actually make it work. They're not doing this because they want to go against creatures. No, they're doing this because they want to just do it. And people who say like, "Oh, Harpa's gonna be better, and I'm gonna play Harpa's," blah blah blah. Like, okay, sure, good for you, but you don't have to present it like that because now you're just undermining something that have given you a good experience, undermining a game that once used to be nostalgic to you for favors of another game that just looks sci-fi. So yeah, be fair, be loyal, just don't be, dickheads that goes around. Usually content creators. I don't mind like ordinary people who just like, play the game, gets a bad experience with creatures now and wants to shift to Harpa. I don't mind those people because that's very fair. But if you're a content creator, you have a role, you have a title, you have a responsibility, and you have a voice where many don't. If you have that voice, don't abuse it, don't jump wagons, stay loyal. If you don't want to stay loyal, just depart, like how many of the people have done. Just depart. Don't don't like reap revenues and benefits of one game and then like bootleg another. That's just that's not fair. So moving on. So to clear some things up, yes, it is totally possible to appreciate two games of the same genre individually without comparison. Exactly. Content creators take note, especially one person I have in mind. Take note. Yes, it's possible for you to play both games. You're not forced to choose only one. That is also very true. You don't have to just say like, I'm gonna quit Creature Scenario for Harpiles. You can still play Harpiles and you can still play Creature Scenario. I don't know why I don't know why we're putting up Harpiles like it's some heavenly paradise compared to Creature Scenario. Yes, from our experience, yes, Creature Scenario has a lot of flaws, and I could name an entire video that would take like 2 hours of how flawed they are continuously. But at the same time, we don't know Harpiles. We don't know how well they established they are. We have seen showcase, like I've said, like we've seen showcases of Creature Scenario. They were very pretty, but then the mechanics were shit. could be the same for Harp Isles. Like again, not everything that glitters is gold, you know? Right. Whatever issue you have with another game has nothing to do with us. That is very true. It has nothing to do with them. They're not your therapy game. They're just a game. Which should also should be common sense anyway. That's very true. You each decide how the genre's a community gets to be. Okay, please, for everyone's sake, encourage and be a role model for a much more mature perspective. Okay, see, they're very professional. We understand that this is all very new for another game to be coming out in this particular genre on Roblox or another fantasy RPG. But again, it doesn't mean two cannot coexist at the same time like many others games do. They're basically just very scared. Let's be honest, Harpile is just very scared of being thrown under the bus by creatures now. Yeah? But at the same time, they make very logical sense, and I agree with them in many levels. So yeah, they basically said, for anyone reading, respect their wishes, blah blah blah, and all that. So yeah, this announcement, you know, it's a very fair announcement. I like it. I think it's very cool. And I think Harphouse is taking the right approach before entering this genre where there is a king on the throne and its name is Creatures of Sonaria. I'm very glad Harpout took this approach, but at the same time, it's quite obvious that people are not going to listen. It's still, Creatures of Sonaria's replacement to many people's eyes. And yeah, Harpout, when you come out, we'll see. We'll see, and only then we can finally properly compare. Okay, only then these content creators, if you want to genuinely hop onto Harp House and suck their toes instead of licking creatures everywhere, then do that when they finally come out. Don't do this now. Okay, you're getting revenue of creatures now. At least respect them. If you like me and if you want to be like me, you want to hate them, hate them. If you want to love them, be like me. Genuinely give them actual love. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, folks.